Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's opposition leader refuses to concede and demands a recount instead. This story takes the lead in our 918th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 12th August 2020. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. People's National Movement 22, United National Congress 19, but the UNC is not conceding. It's now over to the Elections and Boundaries Commission EBC to undertake a recount, which the UNC has demanded in at least 3 marginal seats. That's the preliminary outcome of Monday's historic pandemic poll, in which the PNM won 22 seats. While the UNC lost, it gained Moruga among its 19 seats and has sought to call the shot on the official end of the election with its recount bid. An elated PNM leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, claimed victory with PNM's 22 seats around 10:31 p.m., saying, "Tonight, against all odds in a most difficult situation, the PNM has once again gone into government. It has not been an easy task, an easy way, but the PNM has stayed the course, and we've been called to provide the people with good governance. We went into the election with 23 seats and came out with 22. Given the obstacles and courses we had to travel, I say this result confirms my faith in the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I always said that the people can be trusted to do the right thing when called upon to do, and tonight we did so with these results. I'll return to the office in Whitehall as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago." Rowley called for all in Trinidad and Tobago to put aside the campaign baggage, spoke about a difficult 2 years ahead and promised better weather ahead, and to keep commitments made during the campaign. He added this could easily be his last term in politics. But shortly after Rowley spoke, UNC leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar said she was not conceding. She said the UNC will be filing for recounts in at least 3 marginal seats as the numbers were so close. Only when recounts are concluded can we concede or claim victory. I'm a bit surprised at the results, but it is not over until the recounts are done. We fought a good fight and did well. We could have done better, but it's not over till it's over, Persad-Bissessar told supporters. Therefore, TNT's historic pandemic poll seems set to make more history with UNC's recount that may delay an official result briefly. Monday's election, TNT's 18th, was an historic event occurring amid a second COVID-19 wave. Despite the COVID constraints, voter turnout was heavy from a 1,134,136 strong electorate. It was perceived to be particularly heavy in some seats, including marginals. The EBC, which didn't give turnout estimates on Monday night, will give a preliminary figure as the days proceed. The turnout for the 2015 general election was 67.2%. The PNM, which held office for the last 5 years with 23 seats, had targeted 23 to 25 seats. The UNC aimed to increase its 18 seats of the last term to 25. Neither achieved their target. Over in Antigua, Prime Minister Gaston Brown has defended the government's decision to reopen schools on the 7th of September. ABS's Jessica Russell reports on the Prime Minister's latest comments on the issue.
Some have raised concern about the reopening of schools as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. However, speaking on his weekend radio show, Prime Minister Gaston Brown says keeping schools closed may be far more impactful than the potential transmission of the virus.
And again, even the whole appetite for learning within the country would reduce. And I think our country could lose its competitiveness if we do not reopen our schools. And we do accept, yes, there are risks. But the question is, can we keep our schools shuttered?
The Prime Minister also says there's no promised date for a vaccine.
What if we don't find an efficacious vaccine before 2 years? Or what if, for example, a vaccine becomes available, but it doesn't reach us before 2 years?
Prime Minister Brown says there are steps in place to manage COVID-19 when schools reopen.
If we have students who end up getting COVID, any transfer within the schools, we have mechanisms in place to make sure that they are managed appropriately, quick responses. In fact, nurses and so on will be assigned to the larger schools.
He says extended school closures may be especially detrimental to people from poorer communities. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed similar sentiments. He says the pandemic has created a generational catastrophe that could exacerbate entrenched inequalities and undermine decades of progress. A new UN campaign called Save Our Future has 4 steps to handling education in response to the crisis.
First, reopening schools. Once local transmission of COVID-19 is under control, getting students back into schools and learning institutions as safely as possible must be a top priority.
Jessica Russell, ABS News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Tourism is upbeat about the prospects for the sector in the months ahead. ABS's Kim Emmanuel Baird has his comments about the resurgence of the sector and the opportunities amid the adversity.
The pandemic has been particularly severe on the global tourism industry, as many people opt against flying for a vacation. Despite this, the portfolio minister is optimistic as the winter season approaches. He expects a surge in flights.
British Airways are hoping to, for example, now they're doing 1 flight a week. They till the end of, I think it's the end of October, and then they're going to review that. It's a possibility that they may go up by the end of the year, depending again as to what happens in terms of this pandemic. We're hoping to go up to, by the end of the year, 5 or 7 flights a week.
Other international airlines will be joining the list of flights returning to Antigua, including Air Canada, with 2 flights per week at the end of October. Meanwhile, the minister says even before the pandemic, his ministry has been in talks with other ministries, such as culture, to enhance the country's tourism offerings.
For example, we're looking now in November at Independence to have something like a cultural week, where we didn't have Carnival, but we now have a cultural week, which will be some of what we would experience over Carnival, but brought then, hopefully by then, we'll be in a lot better position.
He added another major area of opportunity is wellness tourism, which formed the basis of discussions with the Ministry of Health. It is becoming even more crucial because of the global pandemic.
So you can basically say that one of the results of COVID is that it's been acting as a catalyst to ensure that we really speed up how this kind of integration between the various ministries.
There are also plans to enhance sports tourism, building on the fact that cricket matches here traditionally attract visitors from various countries, including the UK, Canada, as well as islands in the Caribbean. Discussions are being held to have a women's T20 cricket match during the independence celebrations. Kim Emmanuel Baird, reporting for ABS News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Over in Jamaica, MP for Central Manchester, Peter Bunting, is confident that he will win the seat for the 4th term in the next general election. TV6's Milton Walker reports.
Mr. Bunting says he's depending on his team's track record of performance in the constituency to convince voters that he's the right man for the job. He was speaking recently at the opening of a divisional office and resource centre in Knockpatrick.
I challenge Andrew Holness to point to the track record in his own constituency to see if it can match the one in central Manchester. Even though he has been there longer than I have been here. When you start with education, we have added 2,000 new quality high school spaces in this constituency. I call myself jokingly a one-man jump rope, a central Manchester investment promotion officer. And I went and beat the pavement until we got Sutherland Global to open a call center and employ 2,000 young people in this constituency and across the parish. Performance do that. Not motor.
Guyana's newly appointed Minister of Public Works says Guyanese can rest assured that the promises made in the PPP's 2020 elections manifesto, which fall under his purview, will be fulfilled. Yanis Abrams sat down with the Minister Juan Edgil on Friday and filed this report.
The Ministry of Public Works, which was formerly known as the Ministry of Public Infrastructure during the coalition's 5 years governance, is under new administration. Minister Bishop Juan Edgil, who was sworn in last Wednesday by President Ali, will now have the responsibility over a number of agencies, including the Guyana Power and Light Inc., Demerara Harbour Bridge Company, and the Chedijagan International Airport. The newly appointed minister spoke with Nightly News on Friday and highlighted some of what is on his ministry's agenda.
Immediately we have to get to work on advancing the new Demerara River crossing. That's a priority for the people who commute between the east side and the west side and the west side and the east side. We will continue to pursue our pre-2015 commitment to the East Bank, East Coast Interconnection Road, or you might want to call the bypass road. We will be pursuing that. We will be pursuing, as a ministry, ways and means to ensure that our sea and river defenses are adequately policed to ensure that we don't have surprises in terms of breaches.
Bishop Edgil, who had previously held the position of Shadow Minister of Public Infrastructure, said that his portfolio is one that is heavy. He reassured that his ministry will ensure that Guyanese are offered reliable, renewable, and cheap electricity.
We want to be able to reform it. Definitely changes will be made to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. And we will be holding our people who are managing accountable because it's part of our mandate to do that.
The new Public Works Minister highlighted that he is also working to establish Guyana as a hub which will link the Caribbean and South America in a number of areas.
So the things that we are going to be doing from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Ministry of Public Works, are the things that is going to create an architecture for the proper connection of Guyana and Guyanese, Guyana with South America, creating Guyana as a hub to link the Caribbean and South America, whether through air travel, whether through road, opening up new markets for our manufacturing sector.
With his plate full, Bishop Edgil believes he will do well in delivering on the promises the new Ali regime made in its manifesto.
The development of Guyana is in safe hands with Dr. Irfan Ali and the PPPC government. I have said to my president, Dr. Irfan Ali, I'm committed to your success. I'm committed to the agenda that we have agreed on by way of our manifesto, and I will work every day to deliver those realities to the Guyanese people so that our government will be a success.
On Thursday, both Minister Edgil and his junior minister Deodat Indar met with the various heads of agencies within the ministry. Minister Edgil cautioned his staff to be brutally frank with him and to operate in an environment of communication. Moreover, he advised the heads of agencies against dragging of their feet on the job. Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Yanis Abrams.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.